27 years after the first failure. This time the Mongols did not send a general. They sent the Great Khan's son. This is Prince THOAT HOAN. He commands 300,000 troops. This is not an expeditionary force. This is a sea of men.
Move faster!
His army is a lethal combination. Elite Mongol cavalry and conscripted Song infantry. But Kublai Khan was not betting everything on a single attack. The second strike comes from the south, from the lands of Champa. 200,000 troops under Toa Do, one of the empire's most battle-hardened generals, are ready. The plan was clear, a pincer movement. The two armies would converge on Thang Long. If they met, DAI VIET would be cut in two. It would be the end. January 1285. The northern pincer begins to close. The DAI VIET army, led by General TRAN ICH TAC, has established a defense line at Van KIEP, but the disparity in numbers is too great. Mongol cavalry pours over the line like a flood. DAI VIET weapons are useless against their armor. The Van KIEP line breaks. Mongol cavalry pours over the line like a flood. DAI VIET weapons are useless against their armor. The Van KIEP line breaks.
Full sail ahead. Maintain course for the
A TRAN prince, TRAN ICH TAC, decides to flee. Not to fight, but to surrender. He brings with him all of DAI VIET's military secrets. In return, he is promised the title of King of Annam. For THOAT HOAN, this is the guarantee of victory. The pincer movement now has a guide. DAI VIET's defense lines are now completely useless. The news hits the court. A prince has defected. 500,000 enemies are closing in. The pincer movement now has a guide. DAI VIET's defense lines are now completely useless. The news hits the court. A prince has defected. 500,000 enemies are closing in.
Tell me, what must I do to save our kingdom?
With the northern border broken and a prince defected, the court at Thang Long is in chaos. The peace faction argues for surrender. But amidst the panic, TRAN ICH TAC remains calm. He knows THOAT HOAN's army is not the only threat. The true threat is fear. He approaches King Tran. His response is not a military order. It is an act of political genius. He advises the king to convene the DIEN HONG Conference. This is not a debate for generals or politicians. He calls for the elders, the very soul of the nation, from every village. King Tran stands before them. He does not command them. He asks them one simple question: should we fight or should we surrender? The response from these old men is not the fear seen in the royal court. It is the wisdom of the land. It is the fury of fathers protecting their homes. They have seen war before. They are not afraid. A single word echoes from the courtyard, spoken not in fear, but in pure, unified rage. Fight! The entire assembly roars as one. The decision is made. King Tran now has his mandate. The psychological victory is won. The fear in the court has been broken. TRAN ICH TAC's plan has worked. He has transformed the king's war into the people's war. The response is immediate. Across the army, soldiers and citizens alike begin to prepare. They seek out the tattoo masters for a new ritual. This is not just ink. It is a blood oath. The first character, Sat, to kill. The second character, That, the Mongols. A simple, brutal message: kill the Mongols. The army's morale surges. They are no longer just soldiers defending a border. They are avengers. Every soldier becomes a walking promise of vengeance, a personal contract to fight to the death. But morale is not armor. The Yuan army does not care about oaths. THOAT HOAN is already moving again. His target is the next major stronghold, Van KIEP. This is where the main DAI VIET army is stationed. THOAT HOAN is annoyed by the delay. He orders his vanguard to push forward, expecting another easy victory. Back in Thang Long, TRAN ICH TAC hears the news of the Sathet movement. He knows his psychological tactic worked, but he also knows the reality of the battlefield. The real war is about to begin at Van KIEP. The time for talking is over. Tran Hung Dao turns his back on the royal court. He walks to the armory. His court robes are removed. He picks up his general's helmet. The politician is gone. The general has arrived. This is Tran Hung Dao, now in his element. His eyes are cold. He understands the Mongol war machine. He knows morale is not enough. He must meet them. He reviews the maps of Van KIEP one last time. He knows the terrain. He knows the enemy. His army is waiting. They see their general in his armor, and their That spirit roars. He rides out of Thang Long, not to retreat, but to lead the defense of the capital at its outer gate. At the front, THOAT HOAN looks toward Van KIEP. He is impatient. He wants this war over. He gives the signal. The full might of the Northern Army begins its relentless march. The battle for Thang Long is about to begin. The General Tran Hung Dao arrives at the Van KIEP front line. The That spirit is high. DAI VIET soldiers, their arms freshly tattooed, brace for the impact. They are defending their homeland. But THOAT HOAN is not a man who cares for spirit. He commands a war machine. The Mongol assault begins not with cavalry, but with a terrifying barrage from their song engineers. Trebuchets. Massive boulders arc across the sky, smashing into the DAI VIET fortifications. This is 13th century shock and awe. The DAI VIET defenses, built to
Attack! Forward, men! The assault begins now! Forward!
Then, the main assault. THOAT HOAN unleashes his heavy cavalry. The DAI VIET soldiers fight with desperation, but the sheer weight of the Mongol charge is unstoppable. The lines begin to buckle. For every Mongol that falls, 10 more take his place. The Sat. That oath is tested in blood. The Van KIEP line breaks. It is a catastrophic failure. Tran Hung Dao, watching the rout, must make an impossible choice. He can stand and fight, sacrificing his entire army in a blaze of glory. Or he can do the unthinkable. He can run. He can run. He gives the order. Retreat. This is not the act of a coward. This is the act of a grand strategist. He knows he cannot defeat 300,000 men in a pitched battle.
Word to the fleet. We move with the
So he will not fight their battle. He will make them fight his. The strategy is simple. Keodan. Stretch them. Lure the massive Mongol army deep into hostile territory, far from its supply lines. And to do that, he must give them the prize they crave most, the capital, Thang Long. The order is given. Thang Long is to be abandoned. This is the scorched earth tactic. The people evacuate. The granaries are emptied or burned. The wells are poisoned. Nothing is left for the invader. King Tran, in a simple robe, steps onto a small boat. For the second time in a generation, the king of DAI VIET abandons his own capital. It is the ultimate humiliation. THOAT HOAN and his vanguard ride triumphantly towards the gates of Thang Long. He has done what Yuan Kadai could not. He has taken the capital. He expects a fierce last stand, a city to plunder, a king to capture. He rides through the gates and finds nothing. The city is empty. The streets are silent. The only sound is the crackle of fires set by the retreating DAI VIET troops. THOAT HOAN sits on his horse in the middle of the empty royal court. He has conquered a ghost. His victory is hollow. And as he looks at the burning granaries, a cold realization sets in. Tran Hung Dao has not been defeated. He has just set the trap. The Mongol victory at Thang Long is hollow, but the danger is real. The king flees by boat, consumed by despair. He knows that the scorched earth tactic deprived THOAT HOAN of food, but it also cost them the capital. He is haunted by the image of the burning citadel. The strategic picture is bleak. The two Mongol pincers, THOAT HOAN and TOA DU, are close to linking up, which would spell doom for the remaining DAI VIET forces. The king sees the strategic map unfolding and is consumed by the possibility of utter annihilation. He contemplates surrender.
I am still waiting.
In a quiet moment on the small boat, far from the capital, the king turns to Tran Hung Dao. He speaks the unthinkable question, giving voice to the despair of the entire nation. He is looking for a way out, even if it means submission. He finally asks the question that weighs on the heart of every man on this boat. The silence after the king's question is immense. Tran Hung Dao knows the weight of this moment. Surrender is tempting, but the result would be eternal servitude under Mongol rule. He must anchor the king's resolve in something stronger than temporary fear. He steps forward. He looks straight in the eye. His pledge must not only convince the king, but also commit him fully to the final victory. His words are not merely advice, but a personal, unbreakable oath.
Cut my head first!
The king is silenced. The question is answered, has successfully anchored the king's resolve, and ensured the continuation of the war. The fate of DAI VIET is now clear. Fight to the final breath. The king's resolve is unbreakable. Tran Hung Dao has won the strategic and political battle. Now, the final military game begins. The Mongol forces, victorious in capturing the empty capital, believe the war is over. They are gravely mistaken. The most dangerous phase of the conflict is about to start. The two Mongol armies, THOAT HOAN in the north and THOAT HOAN in the south, must finally converge. The Yuan strategy is dependent on this pincer movement. THOAT HOAN is waiting for his colleague, but the waiting depletes his supplies, and his temper flares. He starts to realize the true intent of the scorched earth tactic. His army is starving. Meanwhile, Tran Hung Dao has consolidated his forces and gathered new supplies. He knows that the moment the two Mongol armies meet, they will be at their strongest. He must strike before that link-up is complete.
The enemy is broken.
The hour has come. The two Mongol pincers are dangerously close. The stage is set for the inevitable counterattack. The fate of DAI VIET rests on who will strike first.